I had a family member sit down, teach me how to trade for an entire year. My sister and I went to go live with my uncle. We've seen him day trade for years and years and years. I don't know if you are familiar with TradeStation at all, but there was this sound that we heard every time he got in that is ingrained into our childhood, and it is order filled. He's coming up on like almost 30 years now of trading. The amounts of money that he told me he lost would make me throw up. Like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. He truly did the entire process of trial and error and came up with his own little strategy that works.
This podcast is brought to you by Blue Guardian, the fastest growing prop firm in 2023. Episode 237. Folks, we've got Tori Trades coming up here on the show in a second. It's a fantastic interview. And the funniest thing here is I started to wonder whether or not her uncle that she talks about, who taught her how to trade, been trading for 30 years, was actually ICT. She talked about Uncle Mike. You're going to find out in the show, and you're also going to find out how she trades in a video we shot afterwards where she breaks down her full-on trading strategy. So it confirms everything. All right, folks, it's coming up in a second. You're going to hear from my sponsor now, and then we'll get on with the show. Our sponsor, Blue Guardian, is the only prop firm that gives their traders a tool to protect them from hitting their max daily loss and over trading. It's super simple to use. Just set the Guardian Protector each day from your dashboard. Did you also know that they've just released an unlimited time evaluation with a zero trading days requirement, giving you plenty of time to hit their low 8 and 4% targets, making it super fast to get funded. Plus, it's cheaper than the 40-day time limit evaluation. Check out the link and coupon in the description to get 10% off your next Blue Guardian evaluation. All right, folks, here we are on Trading Up. We've got Tori Trades in the house all the way over there in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to the show, Tori.
Thanks, Cam. Thanks for having me.
Well, you've been on my list of my hit list for a long time, and it just so happens that it's all fallen into place, and we managed to get you on here today. So, a trend line trader with support and resistance, which I'm really intrigued to dive into in a bit later on. But to start off with, I want to hear how you got into trading and your journey today, and how you got to where you are now.
Absolutely. So, I got to give all credit to a family member. So, if I hadn't had a family member teach me how to do this, I can guarantee I wouldn't be right here. I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. I just can't see any, alternative universe reality where this just happens on its own. So maybe I would have pursued something else, but I had a family member sit down, teach me how to trade for an entire year. My sister and I went to go live with my uncle and my aunt and my cousin. And we're like, okay, this is what he does. We've seen him day trade for years and years and years. I don't know if you are familiar with TradeStation at all, but there was this sound that we heard every time he got in that is ingrained into our childhood, and it is order filled. Like, we heard that sound our entire childhood. Right. So, but we didn't really truly know what he did or what he was doing, in the room with all the computer screens, until finally in my early 20s, he's like, okay, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. And we're like, okay, here we go. So an entire year, he showed my sister and I how to trade. And what's cool is, since I lived with him, we'd wake up and over breakfast, we'd be talking about, psychology. And then during the day, we'd be going over charts, drawing the trend line, seeing, okay, what does he call this trend line? How do we draw the trend line? What happens if one gets crossed? And then dinner, we'd be talking about fundamentals, or how he says we shouldn't be incorporating the news with our strategy, and it should just be purely price action and all of this thing. So an entire year we spent getting up in the morning and going to sleep, talking about trading. So it was a full on, if you want to call it a mentorship or a internship, or it was just a full year long of just pure knowledge, getting right into it.
And do you think it was because you were at that age of sort of 20s that it was something you were actually wanting to learn? I mean, because there must have been an element of passion there, or was it just the fact that you were sort of captured in the room there and you couldn't get away from it? Or, what was the thing that hooked you in?
So one thing that I had noticed is that he was home all the time. And I remember asking my cousin, I'm like, my dad's never home. Your dad is home all the time. He is home. And so is your mom. And I'm like, and they took us on trips. We'd go to Niagara Falls or Disney World, or we would go on these cool trips with, that side of the family. I'm like, what do you guys do? And I truly wanted to have a lifestyle very similar to that. I wanted to be home all the time. I wanted to take family on trips. I wanted to be the one to be like, okay, you know what? We're all going to Disney World. Get in the car. Let's go. Or, we're taking a trip across the world. Let's go. I want to be, that part of the family that can take, nieces, nephews, sons, daughters, whatever. So that was the most intriguing part, was his lifestyle. It wasn't even necessarily the trading part. And to be honest with you, you saying that was it the fact that I was in my early 20s and I was looking? Even after he had taught me, it took me a few years for me to truly take it seriously. Because there's a time where if, someone gives you something, you don't take it as seriously, and especially when it's given to you for free. So you got to truly like find that within yourself, put in the actual effort, put in the hours, whether you're paying for something and putting in your money towards it, or, you're dedicating hours of your life towards it. I truly had to finally actually put in my own work to truly take it seriously. That's one thing that I do regret in the past, was not taking it seriously right off the gun.
Yeah. And the reason I asked the question is because I've got two daughters, and they I mean, I've tried to teach them stuff, and it's like impossible, literally impossible. I mean, like one of them, the youngest one, is more interested than the eldest one, but and the eldest one's got zero interest. It's like, I've managed to get her to do, I think, half an hour work for me in the last 2 years. The other one actually did sit down at a price chart and did trade for an hour by herself, looking for one pattern, which was impressive. Yeah, I was like, this is crazy that she's done that. And then I can't remember what went wrong, but anyway, some software issue, and then she never went back to it, and that was it. But I think it might be the same as you, where it'll come around, and eventually when the time is right. So
unless you have some element of competition between the two. No.
Well. I don't even know if I can do that. Like they're so different.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair. If there was any form of competition towards my sister and I don't care what it was, we were doing it. So that did help in our sense.
Okay, so this uncle of yours, I mean, how did he? And I'm assuming this was your only mentor, is that right?
Yeah, only one. Okay. All I got.
And how did he go about, like, sort of, other than these little snippets of education around talking about trend lines and psychology and that sort of thing? How did he? I suppose, take it to the next level and get serious, or was that just all you?
So the entire year I truly wanted to, between the two things of, being in competition with my sister, I wanted to do better than her, and I wanted to make him proud. So between the two, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to see this through at least till the end. So I grasped the concept, the strategy. I was able to, show him trades. We'd go through them all the time. I mean, it was so cool. It was the funnest thing to be, at the end of the day, sit down to dinner and be like, all right, Uncle Mike, look at these trades that I made. I did this, I got in here. And he'd be like, okay, you did great. Excellent. Or, I think that you maybe took a gamble on that one. You didn't quite use the strategy. So, and you can truly see with, when it comes to the trend line strategy, if you get in too late on a breakout, that shows hesitation or whatever it may be. If you didn't wait for the retest, there's a lot of different aspects to the trend line specifically, but it was the funnest thing though, during that entire year, to just be like learning how to get good at something, and the fact that it was all in the simulated markets, but knowing that, okay, these are dollars, like one day these dollars will be real dollars. So it was a very fascinating thing.
And did you ever find out how he learned the strategy, or did he come up with the strategy?
Oh yeah. So and a lot of people ask this and they think that maybe he's this, first of all, fictional character, which is hilarious. Some people are like, is he even real? I'm like, yes, guys, come on. And then the second thing is that they think maybe he's like this institutional trader, or he truly is a retail trader through and through. He, learned a strategy on his own. He sold, a few businesses in the past, really a long time ago. He started trading when you had to like make phone calls and like place a trade. And he's got boxes and boxes of like printout trades and paper trades. But he truly had to he's coming up on like almost 30 years now of trading, not quite, but close. And he truly had to go through the entire trial and error phase of being a retail trader. He had to go through different strategies, trying different indicators, losing tons of money, and then finally putting things together and saying, you know what? Turns out it can only be, or it can actually be this simple. And I can, maintain consistency was the main thing. We just want consistency, whether it is a small amount. Maybe it doesn't have to be this intricate strategy that gets us maximum profit. If I can just maintain consistency through these trend lines and support and resistance, that's all I need. I just need consistency. And that was truly what he had gathered through those entire, years of trial and error. And the amounts of money that he told me he lost would make me throw up. Like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. But the fact that he curated this strategy, in a sense, decided to give trend lines different terminologies, call them different things so that it would help your psychology when you're in trades. So he truly, did the entire process of trial and error and came up with his own little strategy that works.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And does he sort of keep in contact with you now and see what you're doing and give you advice and tips or anything like that?
Yeah.
Or just is he sort of, happy that you've managed to make it work?
Oh, dude, it's the coolest. So the fact that I am the only person in the family, the entire family, he's taught everyone. So not only me and my sister, he has taught every member in our family, even friends, even extended friends. And I am the only one that kept it up.
Really?
I feel quite proud of myself, but he is incredibly proud. So I went to go see him actually, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, right after the FX Summit. And I was a ball of excitement. I was like, I went to this FX Summit and we're talking about trading. It's like 1,000 people, maybe even more, all together that all do the same thing. We're all passionate about this weird thing, trading. And I told him my best month that I had, my best trade, and we went over it. And I was asking him, I'm trying to migrate into swing trading now. What are your thoughts on that? And he actually has almost swayed my opinion on swing trading, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Okay.
But so yeah, it's the coolest thing being able to talk to him about it.
And what about your sister? So she obviously didn't make it in the end. I mean, what happened? Is she now sort of like looking back going, oh, I wish I had, or very happy with what she's doing?
What's funny is now that my social media has, kind of became a lot more popular, now family is like, man, I think I want to get back into it. And now that they can kind of see me have the success, now all their curiosity is starting to get kind of sparked again. My sister is considering it. His daughter, my cousin, is now wanting to get back into it. And I think I think it's maybe because of me and, my social media and sharing my, results and my journey. And
yeah.
She's always known and she could have always asked, but I think it's just different seeing it on social media. And it also, ignites some of that FOMO. So family is starting to get, a little bit curious about it again.
Yeah. That is interesting. Because, I suppose it is one of those things, isn't it? It's got to be the right time for you. You've got to have the right motivation and the right, for whatever reason. I don't know what it
Absolutely.
is, but so you learned from him. You went on to your own journey. I mean, how did the struggles start in the early days? What were they like?
The very first speed bump that I ran into was one, not taking it very seriously. I wasn't consistent. So after I had left, I'd moved to California after I'd done my entire year mentorship with him. And I moved to California, and then I would maybe trade for like a week and then take like a week off. And then I trade for a week and then take like 2 weeks off. And then I found myself like a whole month, I wouldn't even be trading. And it'd be a vicious cycle until I finally was like, okay, I gotta make this work. Like this is something that I dedicated a year to. I know how to do this thing, but now I need to develop the motivation and the consistency within myself. So that was the very first thing, was just taking it seriously and be consistent with it. And that took I'd say a year in itself.
And why do you think that was, that you were like, doing a week on, week off and then sort of slowly letting it slip through? Because I think that, I've suffered from that sometimes, where like I'll be really consistent and then take a couple of days off even. And then all of a sudden it just stretches out into like, next minute's a month. And I'm like, no, I'm not trading the strategy. I'm now doing something else. Why is that? Why do you think that was? Any ideas?
The first thing I'm thinking is going back to like the fact that I didn't invest my own money or my own time into learning this. It was given to me. I think that was the first thing. And then there were just so many emotions that you go through when you don't get immediate success or that immediate gratification or satisfaction in the trading or just the results. You're like, so then I'd have moments where I'm like, did my uncle really teach me what he does? Because this isn't working, or I'd go through these cycles of like being resentful towards the market, thinking that there's somebody on the other side of the screen going in the opposite way every time I get in, or thinking that, man, maybe my uncle didn't truly teach me what he does. So you go through the cycles until you develop the confidence and the consistency and you take it seriously. It just, like you said, it has to be a perfect combination. The timing, the motivation, the discipline, it's got to be like this perfect combination for you to truly get to that next level of consistency.
Folks, I'm here in the Black Bull Markets trading floor and I'm surrounded by their customer support agents who are ready to take your calls, emails, or live chat 24/7. Now, if you're a newbie or experienced trader, you know your trading's in good hands.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? It's all these little things that people just think it is sitting in front of the chart and pressing the button, but it's all the things to get you to the chart, to get you pressing that button, and doing the analysis first, and it's all that stuff. pressing the button is easy. You're doing it like a million times a day on a mouse or whatever. If you
Yeah.
trade with your phone like you do.
Yeah.
So okay. So how did you overcome that sort of procrastination to getting into it? I mean, what did you start off with? Were you trading your own money back then, or what?
So I stayed simulating for an entire year. So even after the amount of time, so there was time where I'd spent just learning, but even after that, I am coming to find that does show an incredible amount of discipline, because I don't know many people that actually spend a year simulating. No, people want to go right to the money. They want to get right in that live account. So I think I did at least have a little bit of an edge in that part of, I did have the patience and the discipline to say, you know what, I can spend an entire year simulating. Like, that's fine. And once I did see the consistency, in the simulated markets, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. And by that point, it had been it had been 2 years now, maybe. I'd say about 2 years of, okay, I've got at least the strategy down. I mean, by 2 years, you've got to have something down. And then I had enough saved up. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go live. And the very first time going live, I took loss after loss. I didn't blow an account, but I took too many losses, and I had to have the realization that, okay, you're not ready for this. You can't do this. And that's okay. It stung. It stung really bad. I remember just crying in my bed for a few hours, because man, I truly have to go back to simulating for a little while.
And what do you think was the sort of genesis for the demise, or the mini demise there?
Just that real money. When you're seeing real dollars go into your pocket and then disappear, it's too much going on, especially for the first time. It was very hard to regulate the emotions. I was feeling incredibly excited. The adrenaline was high going into the live markets for the first time. I mean, I guess you got to experience it, at least for the first time, to be able to regulate it. But I didn't have that quite regulated. So I'd immediately see red and I'd be like, okay, we need to get out. Or I'd see $100. I'm like, oh, sweet. Yeah, let's take $100. So the strategy was out the window. It was all emotion. It was all emotion.
Yeah.
So getting past that was, I'd say, one of the hardest parts. But having the self-awareness to be like, okay, you know what? Let's go back to simulating. That's okay. Let's just try again. Let's make sure we got the strategy down. And it wasn't even a few months later till I was like, okay, we're back live, and now we're going to start to build this consistency. And it took, I'd say, even then there was a struggle, but I'd say 3 years of live trading did it take to actually get consistent, to truly remove emotion, to have the emotional regulation down, detachment from the market, and pure strategy. I think it truly took me 3 years.
And did you sort of notice a sort of physical shift in yourself when you say that emotional, at the start you had that adrenaline and high emotion strategy out the window? Did you actually one day sort of go, hang on a sec, there's nothing, I don't feel anything. Did that ever happen?
There's been days where I realize that even this past weekend, just the numbers mean less. You're a little bit more numb to them. The numbers are much bigger, that I'm trading now versus in the past. And I truly, even today specifically, I'm having coffee with my mom and I'm like, I'm in drawdown a significant amount, but it's within my parameters and my strategy that I'm okay with this. And it's weird. It's a little bit strange that there's no connection to that. And I even, would find myself thinking the same things with, smaller amounts of money, but in different times in my life. But it never felt like a switch. It was just a random time where I'd be like, oh, wow, I would realize it, but it would have already been there.
And I'm guessing this was days before prop firms and stuff like that were readily available. Yeah. So I mean, how did you progress from, I suppose, an employee at an organization, assuming you worked for somebody, to a full-time trader back then before this, ability to get large amounts of capital that you can trade on?
And I even to this day still don't have any experience with prop firms. So they're still so new to me, and even trying to adjust my strategy to abide by these rules and regulations are incredibly difficult. So I'm actually, to be honest, when we get more into that, I'd probably get more insight from you, because I'm still so new to it, and even trying to adjust my strategy in itself. But I've been trading a personal account for the entirety of my trading career. And I think as an influencer, I did truly want to try prop firm trading, because my audience, most of them trade prop firms. So it seems fair if I could truly give an honest, effort or an honest opinion or review on a prop firm. But if they could understand that I just don't have any experience with it, and I actually have to adjust the strategy that I've been using for the past 8 years. So this is a whole new speed bump for me, a whole new set of cards here.
Because what is it specifically about the strategy that makes it hard to trade on a prop firm? And I'm guessing it could be something to do with the risk management or the stop loss or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, all of the above. It's
right.
So with the trend lines and support and resistance, it's incredibly dynamic. So it is all in accordance to where the price is in conjunction to the trend line. So if it's closer to one of my trend lines, the risk is going to be a lot less. If it's farther away from one of my trend lines, this is going to be a higher risk trade. I mean, I can either, pass on the trade, but for the most part, I'm like, I get into the trade and I just know this one's going to be more high risk. And those types of trades I can't take on a prop account. And there's, time limits and profit targets, which are all new to me, because when my uncle had taught me, he was like, listen, we're going to get into the market and we're not going to try to just be happy with $200. We're going to let this trade play out. Let the entirety of the trade play out, regardless of the amount of money that you're making, the amount of shares that you're in, whether it's smaller or higher. We're just going to look at the price and let the trade play out. So it was very weird for me to grasp, like, okay, I have to reach a target every day or at the end of the month. And I've never had that. I just try to take, what I can from the market, get in and get out, let the trade play out. If it works, amazing. If it doesn't, I know where my risk is, or I know where my stop loss is going, but it's too dynamic to incorporate with the prop firm.
Yeah. Gotcha. And okay, so let's dive back into that sort of journey to profitability. So you took the second sim break, you came back in, you're feeling more confident. I mean, how did things progress from there? Was there a kind of a moment where you thought, hang on a sec, I've got this now, and were you able to maintain it after that?
I would say it was more of, I guess so. It still wasn't like a day where the light went off, but it was just like this slow progression of like confidence in the trading. Now I could see my entries were getting much better, and I could visually see the confidence in my strategy on the entry of the trade itself. So if price crosses a trend line and I can see an immediate entry, or if price pulls back and retests and I can see an entry right on the retest, I can see the confidence in my strategy, exactly where I'm getting into these trades. So I can see it, kind of progress. And what's cool about being able to go from a 9-to-5 or a job to full-time trader, I think what also gave me the edge, there's always there has to be a perfect combination for all of these things, not only to make it as a trader, but now to go from, 9-to-5 to full-time trader. So I was already incredibly entrepreneurial. So I was, at one point, yes, I was working at restaurants. I was working at the YMCA, a lot of 9-to-5 gigs. But when I finally made the transition to entrepreneur, then it made that transition easier to full-time trader. So now I'm already working for myself. I'm working at home, whether that's, I learned how to code websites. I learned how to do marketing. So I was doing lots of things from home to where it made it easier to make that transition. So now at one point, my trading became my biggest source of income, and not just these websites or these little marketing gigs. So I think that truly helped. Instead of going right from clocking in and clocking out to full-time trader, there's this little in between that helps.
And I think, especially with the without the prop firm support, there does need to be that in between, right? Because otherwise, it's your own capital that you've had to work for and save up for, which is, most people if they're going to save $100,000, it's going to take them a while, right? A good number of years. So, okay, cool. And so there was no one specific time or day, just gradual, which I think is kind of common. Now, let's dive into some of the specific aspects about your trading. So what pairs are you trading at the moment?
So I'm not doing any pairs. So it's not Forex. So it's just the futures market. So oil is my main, I almost wanted to say pair, my main instrument that I'm trading. Oil, gold I'm watching closely. I've had an interesting relationship with gold. I'll maybe not trade it for 2 months or 3 months, and then I'll trade it all month. If I can see really good price action, I'll be in it. And then one of my best months was actually the very first week of that best month. I traded gold all week, and it was back to back to back. It was incredible. I was like, man. And I immediately was like, you know what? Let's just take a little break from gold because things are going too well. But oil, gold, and then the indices. Oil is going to be my main one that I trade, but I am always watching the others. I'm always watching gold, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P. There are times where I'll experiment with corn. That was a fun one. Or platinum. So there's times where I'll experiment with other ones, but my main ones are going to be oil, gold, and the indices.
And before we get into sort of like some stats around what you do, what about like, so you talked about swing trading and, you know, I suppose day trading, and
Yep.
that's, excuse the pun, swing between both. How did that happen? Where did you start?
So
Where did you end? What are you doing now?
I started on a 5-minute time frame, and that's what my uncle taught me on. 5-minute time frame. He said, you know what, you can kind of wiggle in within that. Maybe you can do a 4-minute or a 6-minute. You know, make it a random time. He was very adamant also about the market makers, you know, the people manipulating the price. He always had this conspiracy, which at the time I thought was goofy. I was like, okay, sure, yeah. But now I'm like, you know, now that I'm seeing stop losses, I'm seeing my stop loss here, and the fact that it got right to the stop loss at the penny, like, come on, it's comical at this point. But yes, I'll be honest, I lost train of thought. What was the question?
Oh, sorry. The question was around swing trading versus like day trading. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you'd lost train of thought there as well. So
it was the 5-minute time frame. That's what I have most experience with. So I want to say like the first 5 years of my trading was in the 5-minute time frame. And so I'm very used to it. I get, you know, there's tons of fluctuation, there's volatility within the day, and there's multiple opportunities to capitalize on the price movement within the day. But I experimented with a 1 hour during the same time that I was experimenting with futures. And I just saw so much success that I was like, okay, this is my time frame. Because at that point I've realized that, okay, maybe strategies are different for each people. Maybe my uncle uses his strategy a little bit different. So I was like, okay, maybe the 1 hour is it for me. So I saw the most success, and this very well could have been a combination of things. Maybe I'm just getting better at the strategy. Maybe the confidence, maybe futures is it for me. It could have been a combination of things, but I saw my most success with the 1 hour. So I stuck with the 1 hour. And then this year specifically, I was like, okay, let's try swing trading. Now let's try the 4 hour. Let's try the daily. And I felt like I was, you know, maturing as a trader if I was to move up into the higher time frames. That's what made sense to me. And making the decision to swing trading, I actually did on my own. So I didn't consult my uncle. I was just like, let's try this. And then I, yet again, saw the most success I've had in trading. So I'm like, okay, maybe swing trading is it for me. But then I go finally talk to him about swing trading. He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know either. So it's a very interesting thing, you know, getting advice from other people and taking what you can, but also I've got clear results of my swing trading. So I think I may stick it out for the rest of the year and at least just analyze all this data. Okay. All of my success, all of my trades, my profitability, I have TradeZella now. Have you heard of TradeZella?
I saw it on your stuff. So it's like a journaling tool, is it?
Yeah. It's the first time I've ever had a sort of journaling tool. So to be able to see all of these stats is freaking fascinating to me. So by the end of the year, and I do this at the end of each month too, is let's take a look at how our month went. You know, what do all these winners have in common? What do all the losers have in common? So I think truly I'm going to stick to swing trading, even though maybe I'll place a day trade or two within that. But I have truly seen the most success I've had with my trading to date with swing trading. So it only makes sense to at least continue it out for the rest of the year and really analyze everything that I've done.
Folks, just jumping in here now that we're talking about trade journaling. If you are looking for a trade journal, then check out my new sponsor, Swift Journal. It's fully automated. They also come with a trade copier, right? So you get a trade copier and a trade journal at the same time. It works on MT4, MT5, brokers or prop firms. It doesn't matter. And there is a coupon code that's going to get you 10% off, which is all one word, Trading Nut. Go and check them out. The links are in the description. All right, let's get back on with the show. And so, very different styles, 5, 1, and 4 hour trading. What how did that impact your routine, your life, sort of, time at the charts, that sort of thing? I mean, can you talk us through? Because it's a big change, right?
Yeah, very much so. And even going from 5 minute to 1 hour was incredibly difficult for me. I would find myself going back to the 5 minutes so quick. Like when I started to feel weird about a trade, I'd go right back to the 5 minute. Let's really, micro adjust this trade, or like micromanage this trade. Look at the 5 minute. And then to finally have the discipline to stay in the 1 hour, that, this is my entry. I'm placing my trade in the 1 hour. I'm letting this trade play out in the 1 hour. My trend lines are in the 1 hour, stay in the 1 hour. So to have that discipline to stay was tricky. And that took a while. And going from 1 hour to 4 hours was even more of a jump. And I would say But what it's done for my trading is amazing. So less chart time. Oh, it's the greatest. A lot less chart time. I could go days without looking at my chart because none of my alerts are going off. Price is maybe it's ranging. It's traveling in between, support and resistance or supply and demand, or maybe it hasn't even crossed a trend line or it's following along. So there are absolutely times where I don't have to look at the charts, and it's the coolest thing. I love the freedom of just being able to only look at my charts when my alerts go off, which is a cool thing about TradingView. Yeah. And that's something that I've actually incorporated with my trading that my uncle hasn't. So he's pretty tried and true on his platform that he's been trading on for, however many years. That's TradeStation. I was, I'm a techie kind of person. I'm like, listen, I like all the new software, all the new platforms, all the new apps. Like, I'll take it and I'll try it. And I finally, and it took me a little while too, but I got into TradingView, found out that I could connect my broker to TradingView, then found out I could set alerts on my trend lines. And I was like, whoa, this is a game changer. So that it's a lot less chart time though. In so many words, the swing trading is the coolest especially for my lifestyle. Now that I'm a lot more busy, it makes perfect sense to just have a lot less chart time.
And so when you're doing the 5 minute, how many hours a day were you sitting at the charts?
Hours. Oh, hours and hours. I would trade multiple sessions if I didn't have much going on that day. So I found myself very easily getting consumed. And by that point, when you're looking at the charts for so long, you start to see things that aren't actually there. You're like, maybe this is a move. Maybe this is it. Maybe I should get in. It could be boredom. It could be, so there's a lot of things that there's pros and cons for sure. But I found myself not having the best amount of, discipline or the best psychology when I sat and stared at my screen for hours on end.
And when you're diving into these, when you're trading the 4 hour chart, or I suppose any chart, and you're setting these alerts, so you're not really waiting for a 4 hour candle to close before you get in. You're just like, if it hits the trend line, I'm in. Is that how it works?
So if it will cross the trend line, then I'm in. And for the most part, if you
close above the trend line or just cross it?
Just crosses the trend line. Now, I'll at least give it a little while. Now, if you looked at it on the 5 minute or the 30 minute or the 15 minute, maybe at that point the candle has already closed on the other side. But I'm not too concerned about the lower time frame. So keeping that discipline on, okay, I'm going to stay in the 4 hour. I don't need to know what the 1 hour is doing. It's tempting. It's very tempting. And I still find myself doing it occasionally, but I got to stay in the 4 hour. If I'm truly trading the 4 hour time frame and I'm drawing these trend lines on the 4 hour time frame, then I only care what happens on the 4 hour time frame. But yes, so I'm entering upon break.
Right. Okay. And so by the time you get the alert, I'm just sort of trying to get to the minutia here. You get the alert on your phone. Mm-hmm. How long does it take you to get into the trade? And does it actually matter given the fact there's 4 hour candles?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I could see the alert. And maybe 5 minutes later, whether maybe I'm on a phone call or I'm doing something, it doesn't have to be, instantaneous. I get the alert. Oh, I got to get in. So it's a lot more relaxed, and my entries, they don't have to be so particular. It just feels right. It's very odd, but it's not so precise because the market isn't. There's no guarantee. It's probability. There's no precision. There's no formula, A plus B equals C. So it just feels right to get in, not have to be rushed into a position. See price breaking out of, maybe a 4 hour or a daily trend line. You're like, okay, this could be it. Maybe we're, changing our direction. Let's get into the position. So it doesn't have to be, instantaneous, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like in terms of risk per trade or, as personal accounts, so what kind of percentage are you working with?
So I never calculate the percentage. It's based on, do you mind if I show you a chart?
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll jump into a video after this and you can walk us through the price chart and show us on a separate video. So yeah, as you were saying.
So as I was saying, it's all in conjunction to where the price is in accordance to the trend line. So if you can visualize this, so I always have a downward trend line and an upward trend line, and I am trying to find which one is the true trend. Which one is it truly going to follow? And the opposing trend line, the one that gets crossed, is going to be the one, okay, obviously this isn't the trend that it's following along. So the opposing trend line is where I call this my safety line. So this is where my stop loss goes on the other side of. So if we can visualize an upward trend line and it just got broken, the downward trend is going to be the one keeping me safe. So that's where my stop loss goes on the other side of, and it trails along it. Now, as long as the price stays along that downward trend, I'm safe. I'm happy. Now it's just, the only matter is, okay, when the price has crossed the opposing trend line, how close is it to the downward trend line? If it's very close, my risk is so small, because if it breaks out of the downward trend, then I'm fine, deal's over. But if I get in and the price is incredibly far away from the line keeping me safe, this is going to be a higher risk trade. So the percentage is different every time, just depending on when it crosses. So I just have to realize that when I get into the trade, if I get in and it's very far away from, my line that's keeping me safe, I'll either get in with a smaller amount of contracts, or I'll just get in and say, okay, you know what? This is going to be a higher risk trade. So if this doesn't work out, I'm going to have to give up a good chunk of money. So I've never done, and this may be unconventional, but it's never been like a specific set percentage.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, I see what you're doing now, and it's interesting
Okay.
that you do move the stop along the trend line. I mean, is that every candle, or so every 4 hours you need to go in and update it, or how does that work?
It won't ever have to be every 4 hours, just because there could be 3 or 4 candles, and it's it hasn't moved too much far away. So it'll just be when I see that price is far enough in my favor that I'll just scoot it down. But it's never been like, okay, each candle I'll scoot it down, and it doesn't. When I say trailing, it's just whenever I move it, it's not necessarily automatically trailing along that trend line. But for the most part, if I can visually see that, okay, I'm in enough profit and I need to move this stop loss a little bit down closer to that trend line that's keeping me safe, then I'll move it.
Okay. And so do you often get sort of kicked out of a trade when, instead of the full loss, you're getting a smaller loss, but it's still a loss?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So if the price is very close to that line keeping me safe and then it crosses it, I mean, it could happen within the same 4 hours. I'm like, okay, kicked out, but that wasn't a very big loss. Bummer, didn't work out. It was probably a fake out. And I think what a lot of people can't quite understand with the strategy with trend lines is the fake outs. People are just like, there are so many fake outs. Like, there's no way you could be profitable with fake outs, but it's just a matter of making sure that if the fake outs happen, I've just got to have my risk. So I just need to know how much I'm giving up, and I got to be prepared for the fake out. And so what keeps me safe is that safety line. So as long as it can stay along it, I'm happy and I'm safe, and price is traveling. As long as it stays below that trend line or above, depending on which direction we're going in, I'm safe and I'm happy. But as soon as if that fake out happens and then that line that I have gets crossed, I'm no longer safe. What's cool is what my uncle would show me is he would put a piece of paper on the screen and he would say, okay, if you can't see the price, you have no idea how far it's going to go. So it was very cool things for him to show me. If the safety line that we had got crossed and you don't know how far price is going, you don't know if it just peaked out, you're not safe. You're not okay. So he essentially was telling me, okay, if your safety line gets crossed, you just don't know how far it could go or how far against you.
Yeah.
Just to understand that line truly is the line keeping you safe, keeping your capital, allowing you to be consistent, allowing you to be able to trade another day. It was essentially my risk management. So that was one thing that he truly was like adamant about.
Yeah. Because I mean, trend lines are, some people love them. I mean, some people love them, then hate them. I'm kind of that person where it's like, trend lines are great, and then all of a sudden it's just like, I don't get them anymore. They don't work.
Yes, in consolidation, it's a nightmare when you're in a range. Oh gosh, it's not fun for me either.
So is there some kind of discretion involved in terms of picking out ranges or trends or choosing which markets look better than others?
Yeah. Being able to identify the range as soon as possible is key. I mean, if you get in so many times and you get hit out each way, you're like, okay, well, we're not picking a direction here. So we need to, let the market consolidate, see if we can break out of these areas. Absolutely doing my research on an instrument is pretty important. So going back, I like to look at the highest time frame I can, look at the chart and see, okay, does this look like it's got, clean price action? Does this actually, when it is trending, does it trend for a while? Does it consolidate for a while? So I like to do my research for sure on an instrument before I trade it. And what I'll do essentially is I'll start in the highest time frame that I can. Maybe it's a monthly, and I'll draw, some basic trend lines and see, okay, overall, is this trending? Even from, day one to now, is this trending? And then I'll, scoot into maybe a daily time frame. And then I'll work my way down. If I was trading the 5 minute, I'd go from the highest time frame down to the 5 minute, draw my trend lines and just see, okay, does this have clean price action? Does this, when it's trending, does it trend? When it's in consolidation and it breaks out, is it clean essentially? And if it's not, if it's got gaps, that's just not something I'd be too interested in trading.
Do you ever get situations where you go, this is just perfect. It's so clean. It's so perfect.
Textbook,
and then you're like, bang, in you go and stop out straight away. Do you ever have that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it'll be like where I get even double confirmation. So I'll have a trend line broken and an area of support broken or resistance, whatever it may be, depending on what direction it breaks out of. And it'll just look incredible. And oil does this occasionally, and I have to be, aware of it because it truly does sometimes, and it'll frustrate me, but it is what it is. I don't have that resentment towards it, but I'll see it just looks clean. Upward trend line broken, line of support broken. It's just going, and then no. And then it doesn't work out. You're
It's
like,
well. You sort of wonder, like, do people like almost go, oh, everyone's going to see that. We're going to screw them. I mean, you got to wonder, especially when it's perfect, because I've had it happen many a time. Now, what about risk to reward on these trades? It might be difficult to work out with your high and low risk kind of stuff, but have you got sort of a gauge on this?
So what I have come to find is with trading prop firms. So my strategy, if I can find a closer take profit, it seems to work a little bit better because this is still the experimental phase, trying to incorporate my strategy with these, parameters and these take profits and goals and targets. But I find that if I bring my take profit and find an area of, whether it's support or resistance or just a level that price has gotten to, it's more likely to get to and turn around. I find that to be more successful with the prop firm trading. But with my trading and with the strategy my uncle showed me, it was all dependent on this one phrase, don't know, don't care. And as long as the price is continuing in the trend or the direction that you're in, so if it's, if you're in a long position and this is trending up, as long as it stays in that trend, you don't care. You're going to stay in that trade for the entirety of the trend. And then finally, when that trend line is broken and it's no longer safe, it's crossed your safety line, you're out. So that could be days from now. That could be the same day, or that could be, maybe you got a month long where it's just trending up. Now, those are very rare. I would love those, obviously, but his motto was to just let that trade play out in its entirety. Just capitalize on that full trend. So now I find myself, closing just because I'm up, $10K or $5K or $1,000. So I'll close it short. And that's something that I even to this day, 8 years of trading this strategy, I got to work on. I got to let the trade play out in its entirety, because that's truly where I excel. And that's where he has gotten to where he has, because he has the patience and the emotional regulation to let a trade play out for its entirety. And I think that's what a lot of traders probably struggle with, is just letting the trade play out.
Tired of missing trades or spending hours at the charts? Introducing my Robot Builders Club. With our platform, you can build bots in minutes, not weeks, without any coding required. Get lifetime access to my video course, VIP community, and over 40 ready-made robots. Works with MT4 or MT5, and as a bonus, you'll get 3 months access to my robot lab, where we build and test bots on live calls every week. Join the hundreds of traders who are trading smarter, not harder. Click the link in the description to learn more, get the free training, and download a free robot. And at that point, would you be like just trailing your stop on that trend line that's keeping it in check? So as soon as it hits it, it's out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting. Hey, so there's a video dropping on my channel tonight, actually, which is a trend line. A guy, Richard Nasser's done a 30-minute thing on how you draw trend lines. Okay. Have you got a specific way in which you draw the trend lines, and are they is that the same way you do it every single time?
As far as like how many touch points or like the
things like that, yeah, touch points and that, and what points you pick and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So I always try to use. So it starts with kind of doing your research essentially on the instrument. So you want to make sure that you're seeing from start to date, price action. So you want to at least mark up your trends on as much information as you can. And I keep calling it just doing my research, because you truly want to see, okay, what has this thing done in the past, so that you kind of get an idea for what it may do in the future. So marking up your chart on the full amount of data as you can. Maybe it's a monthly, maybe it's a weekly, maybe it's probably going to be a monthly or a weekly time frame, just to see that full amount of data. So drawing those trend lines, it'll be all visual. So if you go into a monthly time frame and you see it's trending down, but it's only got 2 touch points, 2 of these times where price shot up and then turned around. If that's all you have to work with, then that's truly the only amount of touch points that you have to work with. So I kind of apply that same concept to these smaller time frames. So if I now move into a 4-hour and I see that we are recently trending up and we've only got 2 touch points, then that's okay with me. I'm still okay with the 2 touch points, but obviously that's the minimum. You got to have at least 2 touch points to point A and point B. Otherwise, you don't have any idea if this is, trending or not.
Yeah. And what about like a winning percentage? I know I saw your month of May, which was like a 4.36 or something profit factor, which is phenomenal. What does your typical winning rate look like?
I would say, to be honest, I don't have that number, but let me see. Do you mind if I log into TradeZilla and just see like maybe, this year what we're looking at?
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So we've got 7 months worth of data. We're looking at a profit factor of 1.55. Don't know what that means exactly.
That's solid. Solid.
Okay. We're looking at a win rate of 55.83. Not bad. And a average win to loss 1.8. I also don't know.
Don't know what that means. But
I don't either.
Average win to loss. Okay.
And then we have a TradeZilla score too, which I don't.
Okay.
It's a combination of win percentage, profit factor, and average win loss.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it's great. 7 months worth of data. That's fantastic. And 1.155 is profit factor is pretty good. So, right, let's dive into a couple more questions here, and we're going to wrap this baby up. So, mindset related. Do you have any sort of special tips and tricks that you share with people that follow you and that sort of thing to help them get in the right mindset or get over mindset issues, especially given the fact you've done lower and higher timeframes?
Right. I would say what has really truly helped me mindset wise has been very self-aware. That's one common denominator that I've found, is being truly self-aware of the emotions that you're feeling as soon as they rise up. When you're feeling strange about a loss, strange about a win, if you're even just finding yourself being too attached to this trade, I think that truly has helped me have my edge, at least psychologically, to just know when to cut myself off, when to be done with a trade, when to close a trade. If I'm in, drawdown or in profit and I feel myself, immediately feeling strange about this trade, maybe I'm trying to micromanage it. Maybe I'm feeling like, do I need to close this? And when it is not involved in the strategy whatsoever, I just know, okay, I'm being self-aware. I'm being either emotional with this trade. I'm, putting too much attachment to it. Maybe I want this one trade to be the one. As soon as I feel feelings like that, I'm like, no, we need to cut ourselves off. So having this self-awareness to know, okay, I'm feeling strange about this trade, and that's okay. Got to cut myself off. Maybe having some things in place or in practice that you do when you start to feel these emotions. But self-awareness has been like my number one go-to for sure.
And I think a lot of guys out there struggle with that kind of thing. And I think women tend to be able to bring it out a little bit easier. I mean, well, just on a sort of on that note, I mean, what about like, how do you feel as a female in the trading industry, which is heavily male dominated? I mean, I look at my stats and it's like 96% of the viewers and stuff are male. I mean, how does that all sort of play with what you do and how you sort of see that fitting?
So what's cool is, I mean, this is my own journey. So regardless of who you are, it's just you in the charts. But this is something that I did talk to my uncle about, this past, not last weekend, but the weekend before when I went to go visit him. I was like, listen, there are not many women that do this. And he's like, it's similar to like construction. There's a reason why, women are not in the construction industry. I don't know if it's, having to exert this amount of like strength, whatever it may be, why are there not many women in construction? And it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to wrap my head around why there aren't many women in finance. And I'm like, if it's not, a test of strength or, what do we not have that's kind of like getting us into this realm or this industry? And I've got to do some research, and I'm truly fascinated. And, I'll have conversations with other women, what they're thinking. It's a small percentage of us that are in trading, but to see, how they're handling it or what their thoughts are, and to just see, what are the statistics. And I think it just could be the fact that in a traditional relationship, women aren't the ones that handle the finance. So maybe the being able to accept, uncertainty or losses or probability is maybe not something that's quite, ingrained into women. It's very interesting. And it's something that I still truly have got to figure out myself, but maybe it requires, that A-type personality or the entrepreneurial mindset or the acceptance of probability. It could be a combination of things, but as to why there aren't many women, I'm just still not sure, because it's not something that we have to exert like strength or masculinity. It's so strange.
It is strange. It is. I mean, it's anecdotally, I've heard that women tend to be better traders than men for whatever reason. It could be the emotional side of it. It could be just the discipline or the ability to follow rules a bit better or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So interesting to chat about. Now, we're going to jump into a quick fire round and then wrap this thing up. So before we do, if you had to give somebody one thing to master over the next month, what would it be?
It would be consistency with one strategy. Do not hop around. Just try one strategy as long as you can. We'll do it for the whole month. Spend that entire month trading this one strategy. Don't incorporate other indicators, other methods, other ideas. Try this one strategy for the entirety of the month and then see what, results that gives you. I think that is just building consistency with one thing is huge.
Yeah. And it sounds simple, right? And it's probably one of the hardest things for people to do.
Right?
And if anyone does it, chuck it in the comments and let us know what you did and send a link to your MyFX book or whatever, showing us that month with the one strategy.
Right? Oh gosh, I bet it would be incredible.
It's a challenge. Right. Quick fire round. How long did it take you to go from newbie to consistently profitable?
3-4-ish years.
What's your favorite entry setup?
Double confirmation when a trend line gets broken and an area of support and resistance.
What strategies do you use to exit or manage your trades?
Purely trend lines and support and resistance.
Do you have a recommended trading book or resource?
I have TradeZella. Is that what you mean?
It's a resource. It's a good resource because it's your own trading journal, essentially, right?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Or my uncle. I can call him.
Yeah. What about what's your preferred broker and trading platform? Look, folks, I know you want the answer to this question. Which broker is this trader using? Now, the answer has been sponsored by Black Bull Markets. So to find the answer out, you're going to need to go over to tradingnut.com, find the show notes page for this guest, and then all will be revealed. Do you want to walk us through your worst ever trade?
Oh, yeah. I doubled down on a losing position and didn't have a stop loss, and it really hurt. And I finally had to just say purely on the amount I was losing that I had to get out of this. It was a 7,000, like 7,500-ish loser. It probably was oil, but it was the fact that I doubled down on the loser was just the worst idea I could have done. I was like, okay, maybe if I, double down here and it pulls back halfway, okay, we'll be all right. It did nothing of the sort.
Okay, and now last question of the show. Now, this is a bit of a weird one. I've never, ever asked this before, and I think you're the person to ask it to. What do you think my zodiac sign is?
Oh, all right. I am going to say you're an incredible listener, so I'm trying to put some things together here. I don't think it's a Taurus. I'm going to say maybe a Pisces.
Okay, what do you think my animal is?
Oh, all right. Well, there's quite a plethora of animals, but I would say maybe it's I'm going to say a stingray.
Oh, no. Oh,
neither?
Neither of those. Neither of those. I asked you because I did my
know.
research before and I saw that that was one of your things. So
I love it.
it's an earthworm. I'm an earthworm. Yeah.
What? Oh my God. Go figure.
Yeah, how's an earthworm even a thing? Oh well. Okay, right. Before we wrap up, what's the best way for our traders to get hold of you?
Either Instagram at Tori.trades or YouTube, Tori Trades, or even Twitter, Tori Trades.
Okay, brilliant. Well, look, a big thank you to Tori for sharing with us today. Everything we've discussed here, along with all those links, are in the show notes. To find them, simply search for Tori, and that's Tori in the search box on tradingnut.com. Until next time, I wish all my listeners trading happiness and success. All right, folks, there you go. Interview done and dusted with Tori. Now, if you do want to find out how she trades her uncle's strategy, and it's not Uncle ICT, we found out, it is just Uncle Mike. And you're going to find out how she trades his strategy on a separate video. All you need to do is jump over to the YouTube channel if you're not already here, hit subscribe, like, and that notifications bell, and you'll get alerted when it drops. All right, folks, have a great trading week, and we'll see you in the next one.